we'll introduce them as they come in. We're happy to have everybody here. We're going to start with Richard McNeal from Queen Anne County. He's going to talk to us about a community service project that they've been engaged in through the pandemic. So Richard, you want to start us off?
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have a very active coordinator, Sandy Hartman, who is wonderful about finding out what the needs of our community are. And we have been supportive of our families, especially some of those who are trying to do the best they can to help their children by teaching them at home. And so she has been reaching out to different communities on that. We have been collecting emergency clothes for kindergarten students in the schools. Now, obviously they're not in the schools right now, but we make sure each of the elementary schools that have a pre-K through at least 3rd grade with emergency clothes. We have currently in a couple of weeks, we're getting ready to do a drive-through food collection primarily for the backpack program. And this is a program that we support for children who are going home on holidays and weekends who really don't have a whole lot of food at home. So we're having a drive-through on October the 13th at one of our high schools. They're going to allow us to use the parking lot since they're not in school right now. And we'll be collecting food from 10 to 2 with the idea of this being distributed to the families in our neighborhoods who are economically disadvantaged. So we're busy with that. We've been doing this project for the last 3 years, especially over holidays such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, and whenever school's not in session, to make sure kids have at least a lunch and a breakfast on the weekends or on the days when schools are not in session. This has been one of our challenges even last spring when schools shut down and instruction went online, was how can we support and help these families who normally would come to school and get food, breakfast and lunch. And we've had several of our retirees volunteering at distribution points around the county for these parents to come and pick up their foods. Obviously, like everybody else, we haven't been able to meet in person, but we've been doing very well so far through our email accounts. We do a lot of our local folks that way. Obviously, the ones who are who have moved to North Carolina and Florida are not responsive that way, just because of distance. Our challenge, like everybody else, is how can we continue to support our community projects and actually support our members, because we just haven't really had a face-to-face meeting, and it's just not suitable right now to do that. In fact, we've canceled our meetings from October and even December in face-to-face meetings. We'll be trying a Zoom meeting later on in the year. But a lot of our folks are new to that, just like I am and everybody else. But Sandy Hartman is great. She has a great connection with communities and the different schools and so forth. So that's pretty much what we're doing right now, George.
Thank you. How many students would you say you're serving with this program at the present time?
At the present time, we're serving somewhere between 120 and 160.
Okay, that's great. And how are you getting their names?
The counselors at the schools are the ones who are giving us the names and providing that. What we do, we have a couple of churches in the area also. We've been partnering with them we actually once we get these supplies, we take it to one of the churches and we box it up or bag it up and distribute it to the elementary schools that are in need of this. we get these students list, and actually we don't really get the list ourselves. We get the counselors identify the families, and they are the ones who actually distribute it. Excuse the phone in the background there.
Is that your phone? Okay.
So again, we don't really get the identify of the families. That's sort of confidential.
Right.
But we do distribute them to the schools, and then the schools actually distribute them to the families, or
Right.
make sure if the kids are there, they make sure that it gets into the backpacks.
Thank you. Any questions for Richards? Thank you for that service. I know your community appreciates the fact that you're able to continue it even in these times. So certainly the need is there. Could Richard describe how they will do their drive-through food drive?
What we're going to do on this, we are in the process of getting flyers out. We're going to have some banners out in front of the high school. It's on a main road, and we have publications. We don't have a real local newspaper, but we have a newspaper that serves our area, and we'll be putting information into that. The drive-through will take place in the parking lot of the high school, which makes it really convenient because it can sort of swing in and swing out. We're actually using the what they designate as a bus parking lot, and so it makes it easy for that. We have volunteers getting ready to sign up for that. We already have over 10 people, and I think we're going to get more than that. We're just hoping for a non-rainy day, and you know, that always throws. You can't control the weather, but that throws it into it. And we are looking forward to a nice outpouring from the community.
Well, thank you. Any other questions for Richard? I see Anne Marie, our past president, Anne Marie Downey's joined us today. Hi, Anne Marie. Hope everything's okay out in Western Maryland. Okay, so
everything's good in Western Maryland, and Karen Teach. I feel like Miss Connie. I see Karen Teach, and I see Kathy Grantham from Washington County as well. So.
Oh yeah, you're well represented today. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, our next presenter is Dr. Vicky Karol from Calvert County. She's president. Vicky's going to talk about what they're doing over there in Calvert County. Vicky, you're on.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Basically, this summer, the executive board got together and we decided on 3 main goals. First, recruitment and retention. Second is on updating and revising our bylaws. And third was more community outreach. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today, the community outreach program. There's 2 special ladies that I definitely want to give recognition to. One is with us today, Debbie Hanson. Debbie, please join me for anything. And also Jan Travers. Both of these ladies really jumped to the task. And what the executive board decided to do was to support the Calvert Church's community food bank. And by doing so, basically, this is a community food bank that basically is a consortium of 9 churches that serves over 800 people that are in need in Calvert County. We wanted to use a short time period, so we started immediately this summer, and it's going to end on October 14th, and then we'll decide from there what to do. But the main thing was that we knew there was such a need in the community for food, and also it'll bring support amongst our members. 3 ways were decided on how to donate. First one, you could take your perishable, non-perishable items to a location in Central County. Second was to make out a check or to also contribute by credit card. And then we also decided if somebody wanted to take food to another area, that would be fine. And in order to really know, to get the data on it, basically we're asking Debbie Hans to please help us in recording all the items or pounds of food or money donations that are being made, and then that way we can also use that for PR in the public in the newspapers. And so any pictures that people could take and share during their donations would be greatly appreciated too. Debbie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
At this point, we have have donated $1,300 and 20 pounds. And we've also donated, that was to the one community church, and somebody else also donated to another organization. Our next one, I'm not sure Vicky's aware of this one, but in December, we always do a donation drive of school supplies. And so we collect school supplies and money, and we donate them to the Calvert County Public School, to the, Vicky, I don't know which department we give it to, that then sorts it out and sends it to the different schools. So that's our next one that's coming up.
Thanks, Debbie.
So are we still on, Carol? You still
Yeah,
working?
I'm done.
You're done, okay. There was a pregnant pause there. I thought I better check.
Right.
While you were talking, the question came up for Richard. How do you get the community, or do you ask the community for food for your food drive? How do you get your food?
Well, most of the time it's with our members. Every time we have a meeting, we bring that, but we also advertise locally. We're a small town, and we can put out some flyers in some of the main areas. And our community has stepped up time and again to support our children. And since that's mostly what it's all about, making sure our children have something to eat when they are not in school. So pretty much it's just word of mouth, flyers, and our members going out and bringing things in and talking to their neighbors and bringing things in.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of either Carol or Richard?
I have a question for Richard.
Okay.
This is Henrietta. Do you specify the foods that you want so that you're able to give the same thing in every book bag?
Yes, we do. We do specify, the types of food we're looking for, because we're really not looking so much for canned goods for kids in the backpacks. It's more
Right.
of the mac and cheese things,
Right.
the little applesauce, the fruits, and that kind of a thing. And so far, we've been able to deal with extra food, because if people donate some extra food, like a canned good or something like that, we give it to one of the churches in our area that has a food bank for families. So we kind of, we'll take anything. But we do have a list, and when we are talking to folks and we are letting folks know through the flyers, we actually list what is needed for the kids for their backpacks.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other questions of either of the two? Okay, fantastic. We've got a couple door prizes to give out now. Did you know you were going to get a door prize today, maybe?
It's on the agenda.
Oh. Well, not everybody reads. What can I say? Readers are leaders.
Especially teachers.
All right, here we go. Da, 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 da.
Kathy Grantham.
Kathy. What did
Great.
Kathy win?
Wanda?
The prizes are, you're going to get a little box in the mail, and it will include a couple of gift cards. You'll
Wow.
have an MRSPA mask in there, some MRSPA sunglasses, and of course some little treats. We always include like Fisher popcorn and a candy bar or something. So you'll
Nice.
have, and I think there's a pen, always a pen. I think there's a pen in there. So, but you'll get a nice little box, and everybody will get the same gift that wins.
Well, thank you. I'll share with Anne Marie and Karen.
Number 2,
Yeah, number 2.
Glenn Michael.
Glenn, you won. Where's Glenn?
Coming on. There I am.
There
All
you go.
right.
Congratulations.
All right, here's the classic MRSPA mask. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Oh, yeah.
All right, if you go to the website, you'll see the masked man there too, but he doesn't have this mask on. He's got a different one. Okay, thank you. We have some more door prizes coming up towards the end of the meeting, so don't go away. Okay, now the next presenter is going to be Carla Duls, who's our newsletter editor, and she's also AARSPA editor. She's got her fingers in a lot of pies, and we thank her for the hard work that she did preparing this material for you today. So Carla, I'm going to give it to you at this point. Take it away.
Okay. Everybody should see a slide with my name down in the lower left-hand corner, correct?
I do.
Okay, we're ready to go. I think that some of the presentations that have already been given feed right into what I'm going to be sharing with you. And what I want to talk about are some of the best practices for communicating during this pandemic that we have. Now, back in the good old days, MRSPA and the local associations communicated very nicely with their members in a variety of ways. Most locals have newsletters that come out several times a year. Most have websites providing information for members. Some of the smaller locals have telephone trees. Facebook is becoming more and more popular across the state. And then, of course, email. And email was already mentioned as an important way to communicate with members. Well, all of this was functioning very nicely until COVID made its appearance. And what we're finding is not only do we have to communicate perhaps in different manners, but what we communicate has changed as well. And so what I want to share with you is just some reasons why it's still important, and I think George already touched on this, why it's still important to communicate with our members. We're going to talk about some considerations while you are communicating with them. And then we're going to think outside the box. And I think some of the community service presentations you've just heard show how many locals are already doing that. So we'll start with the importance first. Members need to know that we're still there, we're still functioning, that we're relevant. If we lose our relevance to them, we're going to lose them as members. So I'm very, very impressed with some of the community service projects that were actually functioning over the summer. You were still there, letting your members know that you were functioning and fulfilling your mission. Now more than ever, we need to have good stories. And so I think this is one of the things we want to share. We're having drive-by food collection. We're doing other things to help our community and our members. So we want to concentrate on good stories. And we want to be empathetic because that reflects that we're all in this together. Now, across the state, some of us are more back to normal than others, depending on our county executives and our rates of whatever at this point. So we have to show that some, are able to do more than others at this point, but eventually we all will get there. Email is the first means, and it's already been mentioned as a direct line of communication. A need comes up, you put the email out, and the members of the organization have that information. It allows for questions and answers. One thing I would like to point out is you want to make sure that your subject line doesn't blend in with other emails. I don't know if your inbox is like mine in the morning, but there's hundreds of emails. Probably only 3 I really want to read. So you want to make your subject line stand out to let the membership know this is from AARSPA, this is from PG County, whatever, and it's important that you read this. Now, I think one of the concerns about email has been we've asked our members to give us their email so that we can send newsletters. Either implied or directly, we've let them know that we're not going to be bombarding them with emails, and there's some hesitancy to send out a lot of emails. I think the situation that we're in right now, I don't think our members are going to complain if we send out emails. So I think that's an important thing to remember, either through email blasts or through constant contact or whatever. Email is a very important means of communication. Most people have websites, and your website is your public face of your organization, not just to your members, but to the public at large and to potential members. This is the time of year when the PR committee starts bugging you to make sure that your websites are up to date. And that perhaps is even more important now because your website is your base for the digital crisis response. You're letting members and potential members know how you're dealing with this. Are you dealing with it in a positive, move forward way, or are you shutting down, waiting for everything to be over? We want to present updates like links related to the pandemic on the landing page. Now, some of you may have noticed as you've been online over the last few months, there are banners that are across website landing pages. I'm not asking that you do that, but that perhaps you have some kind of links that you could provide for people on that first page. Some examples from around the state, and let me just take a look at some of these with you. This is what Frederick County did. This was back in the spring on their website. You know, first of all, they mentioned we're thinking about you, but I really like what they did here. If you're so inclined, please consider reaching out to some of our more isolated members. That's that empathy, that caring. I thought that was a really good example of something to be on a website. PG County wanted to let everybody know that even though we're experiencing historic changes, they're still there. Their leaders and members are still trying to make a difference in the communities. I think this was St. Mary's County, and I think this event was supposed to take place yesterday. They were, meeting was scheduled for September 15th, but what they were going to do, rather than having a meeting, they were going to pick up a boxed lunch at their caterers and then sit there masked and physically distancing and enjoy it together or to go if they wanted to. This was on their website. The MRSPA website at the very beginning shared the recovery plan for education. And one suggestion I have is this might be something the locals want to do as far as your local school systems are concerned. Have any of you been thinking, what if I were still teaching and had to go back into the classroom with these kids? Or have you been thinking, how would I be adapting to being a virtual teacher?
Wow.
I just cannot wrap my head around trying to teach Romeo and Juliet virtually. It just doesn't work. And I'm sure many of you have been thinking the same thing. So perhaps having a link to your local county. I know our superintendent has been doing almost like fireside chats over the last few months, talking to the community. And there's a plan out there. So that might be something you want to share. MRSPA was right on it. They mentioned when it first started that the staff was going to be limited in the office, but they would still be operating on their usual work hours, whether at home or in the office. So it was business as usual. This is something that just appeared on the Prince George's County website last summer in August, I believe, when we all got that mysterious envelope from AMBA with the right address and the wrong name. And so very quickly, they had this banner on their website. You could click on it, and there was a message from their president then explaining what had happened. And then the last example I have from a website was when Howard County was being tabbed to get some volunteers for a project through MRSPA, ARP, and NRTA to have a teletown hall for parents of school-age children to help them with virtual learning. So these are just some random examples that I found looking at the websites for the locals across the state. Another way of communicating is, of course, through Facebook. And I'm not going to talk about that because two other people are going to be presenting some information about using Facebook to communicate and also to champion community service projects. Now, telephone trees are something I've had no work with because my local has over 1,000 members, and that's kind of unwieldy to have a telephone tree. But there are probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 locals that do have functioning telephone trees. They are, of course, the smaller locals. They're very good because they spread a brief message quickly and efficiently, sort of in the same way that an email does. If you do a telephone tree, you have to be organized. You need your chart. You need your key group members that get the information out to others. And you need multiple ways to reach people. Now, what I was thinking about a telephone tree is the smaller units can do it. The big ones can't. But what about those middle-sized units with 500 to 900 members? Say you have 600 members and 400 of them have emails. Well, you can get an important message out quickly through email, but those other 200, could you set up a telephone tree just for those people so that a message can go out very quickly to everybody using 2 different methods of communication? That might be something for those mid-range locals to think about. Then we have the newsletter. Everybody has the newsletter, and like George said, try taking the newsletter away and see what happens. Everybody likes to see their name in the newsletter. They like to see their pictures in the newsletter. But newsletters, you know, they are the print face and voice of your local. It's the one thing that every member gets, either through email or through hard copy. And I think the key word for newsletter editors right now is flexibility. And I mean, first of all, your production schedule. Now, the AARSPA newsletter goes out 5 times a year, corresponding to luncheons, because that's when we send out a reservation form. Now, we did not have a September luncheon, but we are going to be having a December luncheon. At least that's our plan right now. Now, what's going to happen is if we stuck to our regular production schedule, got it out in mid-October, we would still have a reservation form, but there are 2 events, actually 3 events now, taking place in early October. One of them is a scholarship fundraising, go pick up dinner at Killarney House restaurant in Edgewater, and the other one is a participate in the Alzheimer's walk. One is on the 14th and one is on the 18th. So the AARSPA newsletter is coming out a couple weeks early so that we can cover that. The MRSPA news is not supposed to go to the post office until October 8th, I believe, or 9th. And yet there is a webinar that people might want to participate in. And the deadline for signing up for it is the day before I think it goes to the post office. If you've checked your email already today, you may have gotten that flyer, but that's great for those of us who have email, but the people who don't aren't getting that flyer unless they're mailing them out. So it's important. We've moved our schedule up. And in fact, as soon as this meeting's over, I'm putting the last article in the newsletter, and hopefully I'll get it out to the printer tomorrow. So I know of 2 newsletters that are changing their production schedule to help get information out at this time. The number of pages might change. If your newsletter is usually 8 pages, well, 4 is okay. You know, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the communication that's important. So I think you really want to think about the number of pages. If you only put out, let's say, an 8-page newsletter twice a year, how about doing a 2-page one 4 times a year? It won't change as far as the cost is concerned, but it will allow you to keep in touch with your members more frequently. And then finally, the content. Now, what I noticed is at the very beginning with the spring and summer newsletters, a lot of the content focused on COVID and providing information about that. And I think that's still important, but I think we maybe need to pivot and start sharing stories like the drive-by food collection, different committees that are still meeting and are still active. Remember, we want to share that good news, those good stories. Well, that's what you want to share in your content. And we want to encourage digital delivery. I think a lot of people had a hard time getting their newsletters out in the spring. Some that I saw notices that said, we're only sending this newsletter out digitally. And I know AARSPA had a hard time because we got the digital one out, but we didn't get the mailed copy out for about 2 or 3 weeks later because of production schedule changes and being able to get into the Board of Education building. Now, we'll see that, whoops, okay, here we go. We went back one. And it is the ultimate test of your adaptability and creativity. And I'm going to share some examples, and I think you'll see that it's already happening. Okay, one example is these presidents, and wait till I find, Okay, this is from Howard County. And I thought this was kind of neat. They said, please join us in keeping everyone, and in particular the educators and educational staff, working diligently to complete the school year in new ways, in our thoughts. Can you imagine what it must have been like when they closed the schools down, sent the kids home, and said, you got to teach them virtually now? I can't even imagine. So I thought that was kind of nice to keep them in our thoughts. Montgomery County wanted everybody to know that they were still your voice in retirement. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so that was important. Kent County raises money for their scholarship fund by doing 50-50 funds at lunches. No lunches, no 50-50. How do we get money? Well, they thought about it, and they're doing a mail-in type thing. And in reality, they might get more money because the 50-50 only comes from the people that are physically present at the meetings. This is going out to the entire membership. And so it's possible they can have even more participation. The summer issue of MRSPA News put everybody's mind at ease because there was the letter from Dr. Kenderline assuring us that the system is resilient and solvent, and we weren't going to lose our pensions because of what was happening with the stock market. In this issue of the MRSPA News, there's going to be this little article about AARP-friendly voice call. If you're isolated or lonely during the quarantine, here's something you can do to have someone to talk to. Again, you know, the empathy, helping your membership. Here's St. Mary's County. This was a executive committee meeting that they had a while back. You know, we're used to having pictures in newsletters. Now we have this Zoom frame. In fact, a while ago, I took a picture of our Zoom frame to put in MRSPA News. And then there was the virtual food drive that MRSPA did back in the spring when we weren't having our annual business meeting and we weren't able to collect food for the Maryland Food Bank. We raised over $3,000 through the virtual food drive. So that's another example of letting people know how successful something was done in a different way. This, I believe, was Harford County. And what they did in their spring newsletter, they had a big whole page article from Johns Hopkins about COVID. Baltimore City talked about the senior call check program that the Maryland Department of Health provided. This was in their spring newsletter. AARSPA, in their August newsletter, showed the meeting that took place of the executive board. We were masked and we were distancing from each other, but we met out at the free school. And then we had a scholarship fund drive at the Brian Baru restaurant in Severna Park. Some came and collected their dinner and took it home. Others stayed and ate outside. So again, letting people know, hey, we're still working, we're still doing our jobs. This is Caroline County, and I love what they say here. Hopefully, we will be able to resume our meetings in 2021. That's something we all hope for, so that's positive, and it's looking forward. Montgomery County is having their general meeting. It's going to be held virtually via Zoom. And then Frederick County, this is the content idea. They came up with this little article about lexophiles, describing people who love words. And then they had an article with all of this in it. So that's that kind of good news, kind of fun type article. I think it might be Queen Anne's County that has a recipe for a rather yummy sounding pie. So again, be creative and adaptive with the kind of content that you put in your newsletters. This one, I believe, was Frederick County. This just came out. Again, they're acknowledging that it's, you know, hard to come up with ideas for community service, but they have become aware of some ways that Frederick County can still donate money. And so they're sharing that with their membership. So what are some considerations to keep in mind as you plan? Well, one of them is to meet the changed needs of your audience. You want to help them get through the pandemic and provide as much information as you can there, but you also want them to be able to continue to be active. They need that idea that the association is still present for them, and as much as they can, they still want to participate. You want to communicate with compassion, and I think a lot of the examples that I showed illustrate that that is being done. You want to enable access to critical information by providing links to resources. Lots of examples of that. Response to, but particularly adjusting programs to COVID-19. And this one, inspiring to take action. And, I talked about the change in production schedule for AARSPA. I'm really hoping that since we're getting the newsletter out a little bit earlier, we will have people participate in the Alzheimer's walk. It's a walk you can do at home without a mask on your treadmill. You don't even have to go outside to do it because they're not having physical walks this year. I'm hoping that people come down here to Edgewater and pick up some food at Killarney House. And just last night, the Community Service Committee, at least 2 people on the Community Service Committee, decided that since we're not going to do a collection at our November meeting, where we usually collect Harvest for the Hungry, we're going to do the virtual food drive like MRSPA did in the spring. So that'll be in our next newsletter, and hopefully a lot of people will take action with that. And what are some examples of thinking outside the box? Well, virtual meetings. I think the preferred meeting seems to be Zoom. I don't know if anybody's used Google Meet yet or not. In-person meetings outside. I mentioned that AARSPA did that, but there was another one as well. Queen Anne's, I think, I had a picture of them masked and social distancing on someone's back porch when they had their meeting. Carry out virtual fundraisers. You can add to that now drop-off food drives. Mail-in raffle donations, and the list could probably go on, because what I found is we have very creative people in our local associations, and they didn't sit back and just give up when this all happened. They've already started acting, and I hope that they will use a variety of means to continue to communicate with their members. And I guess that's all I have. So I'm going to stop my share. There we go.
Okay, so let's go to the chat box and see if anybody has any questions for Carl. Nice job, by the way. Let's give her a hand. We can do a virtual hand, right? Any questions for Carla? You covered a lot of area there, that's for sure.
Great job.
I'm looking. Are others feeling that they're being asked for donations by lots of organizations? A question came up. Anybody feel that you're getting complaints about too many people asking for money? Okay. All right. So this is actually not on the agenda, but it ties in with what Carla was saying. I wonder if, and I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. I wonder if Lonna would just give us a sentence or two about that drive-in or pick up and stay or go program yesterday. How did that work out?
I was going to mention it in my talk, but I can talk to you now. We had 41 people that actually signed up, and maybe 11 or 12 stayed, and beautiful setting. We went to the lady's house, the caterer. She has a whole house set up for catering, and her front yard, it was absolutely gorgeous. And people were so happy to talk to each other and see each other. And a lot of them said, we want to do this again. And we collected over $300 for scholarship, way more than we do at a normal general meeting.
Fantastic. Thank you. Addie, from Howard County, I wonder if you could just make a comment or two about your virtual town hall. How did that work out for you?
There you go. Sorry, I had to unmute.
That's okay.
Everything worked out very well, and we just had discussion and comments, and we'll be doing some more of that as the year goes on.
You felt it was successful?
Yeah. Yeah. And we had a very good virtual first board meeting.
Great. Thank you for that. I didn't mean to put anybody on the spot, but I guess
it's okay.
Okay, so Thank you again, Carla, for that outstanding presentation. And I know I picked up a few things for use in Prince George's, and I hope you were able to pick up a few pointers too. Over the past couple of months, I've been getting newsletters from a lot of the locals, and while they're different, they're all the same in one respect, that they're all positive about trying to help their members, and they're all thinking outside the box, as Carla said, about trying to find ways to serve their members, even though they can't get in touch with them personally. We have several new presidents in the locals, and I've been excited about how eagerly they've taken on their tasks and gotten involved with leading their locals. And I read the newsletters that I get, all of them, and I'm always amazed at the personal touch that the president puts into the message that he or she sends out to the membership. I mean, I've had one president talking about sitting on the porch and look at the river scene, and I'm saying to myself, wow, all I have is an old flat parking lot across the street from my house. You know, what can I say? So, and one president apologized for, you know, not knowing what to say, and I said, just be yourself. What you said was fine. It's perfect. Your members want to know that you're a human being and that you have feelings and that you can enjoy nature and you can enjoy things, even though we're all in this uncertain age that we're in right now. But it will get better. It will get better. So anyway, that having said that, I'm looking at the thing. Could Addie, I've got a request. Could you describe what was discussed at the town hall?
We talked about the school system, the teachers, you know, is there anything we can do? Virtual luncheons for the year, virtual meetings, the newsletter, we lost our newsletter person, and community service. So I've gotten some great ideas from today's presentations that I can now take back to the board.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're going to go on to our next presenters. We have Debbie Ahalt from the MRSPA Public Relations Committee. She's going to give us information that she put together for this. Debbie, take it away.
Thank you, George. I was asked to give a brief overview of the workings of the AARSPA Facebook page, which I maintain. And first, I would just like to say that one of its primary, since this is dealing with community service, one of the primary purposes of our Facebook page is to highlight our community service projects. And some examples of that are donations. We give school supplies for kids. We do pet supplies and food for the Anne Arundel County Animal Care and Control. We do food drive. One of our big projects is that we do books for new teachers' libraries. We some of us work at the Scholastic Warehouse in Odenton, and we get paid with books for the volunteer work that we do there, and our members donate books. So we didn't do it this year, of course, because of COVID, but in the past few years, we have taken books to a central location, and new teachers were able to choose up to 10 or 12 books to start establishing their classroom libraries. We're very excited. I just talked to the person in charge. Zeta Hart is in charge of our Little Libraries project. We're just starting that. And so some of the books will be able to go in our little libraries. We're going to put 2 up, I think this weekend, actually. We collect toiletries for shelters. So all of those things I try to highlight in the Facebook. As Carla mentioned, our Alzheimer's is one of our big projects of the year. And as a matter of fact, I just posted that yesterday. But I try to do it about a month out. If you do things too soon, people will kind of lose interest. So that's out. We do a lot of stuff with our free school. We have a free school museum in Anne Arundel County that actually belongs to the Board of Education, but AARSPA maintains and cleans it, and we also send docents out when it's open. I think it's the only free school. Johns Hopkins went there actually. It's like the only free school I think left in Maryland, and it's out in Davidsonville. So we try to keep a little blurbs about the free school and the Facebook page. We work with the Board of Education in choosing a teacher and an employee of the month. And since that's such an important part of what AARSPA does, I put those people in the Facebook. Another thing that we do that's kind of community service or of a sort. We volunteer at the Board of Education to organize materials like at the beginning of the year or for retirement meetings, those kinds of things. So and that always gets posted. Other postings might include our Voices and Melody, our chorus, things about them, trips to take, trips that we take, and luncheons and speakers at our luncheons. So that's just kind of what I try to put in and keep bringing back so people know what we're doing. So if you have somebody who's thinking about just establishing a Facebook page, I just want to tell you a couple of things that I learned. First, I think that you should probably post at least once a week. And sometimes that gets a little hard to do, but if you don't post constantly, people go away from you. They will come and look and there's nothing to do, then they're not going to come back. By the same token, you need to spread those postings out so that, if you put 5 in at one time, they'll look at them and then that's almost too much for them to see anyway. So, put one and then a few days later put another so that you get people coming back and coming back and coming back and you really build a following. Give them something interesting, like give good pictures and limit the text. People are not going to Facebook to sit down and read a volume. They're going to Facebook to get tidbits of information. You see some cool pictures and again, they'll come back. I've also found that it really, really helps if you have people share your posts. I've got a couple of members, AARSPA members, who share every time I put something up practically, and that increases the volume of people who see the postings. Thank you, Wanda and Anne Marie and the rest of the people at MRSPA who do it, but they will share my posts a lot of times, and that's been wonderful to increase the readership, the viewership. And about that sharing, it doesn't hurt for you to just say to somebody, especially if you see they like your post, then you see them at a meeting, you say, oh, could you please share this on your page? That will help get that message out. So if you don't have a lot of information, and I'm telling you, during this COVID, it was really hard to keep a Facebook page going because there wasn't anything going on. We were not meeting, we were hardly doing anything. So I'll admit that this has been quite a challenge, especially early on in March and April and May. It was really, really difficult to keep the Facebook viable. So what I was doing was I was constantly checking with Anne Arundel County Public Schools. I was checking MRSPA. I was checking ARP, those places. And if they had an interesting posting, I shared that on our page. So at least I had something up there. It was like if somebody came, it wasn't the thing that I put out 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So sometimes you can really use those pages for some real good shareable posts. And the good thing is that things are picking up, things are happening, and I'm able to get some stuff out. I sent Wanda some pages. I don't know how this is going to show, but I'm going to try. I think you can at least see some pictures. I sent Wanda a few pages, and I'm just going to show you because, see, this is the kind of thing that you want to do. This is for the animal control that we donate to. So, who can resist a picture of a kitty cat or a puppy. So, and when I go over there to deliver the stuff to the animal control, they're very good about letting me take pictures of the animals. The volunteers get in the picture with me, and so that's like very cool. This is Bob Kanak and Dixie Stack and Phyllis Cherry at the Scholastic Warehouse, and we worked a whole afternoon packing books and organizing books and helping people who were in there shopping, and we earned quite a number of books. And this is a picture of the new teachers looking at the books that we earned to set up their library. This is our last year's Alzheimer's walk. If last year, anybody did the Alzheimer's walk, it rained like crazy. So we were all sort of drowned rats, but these are the kinds of, I posted our members who walked, and then this is what I posted yesterday. I posted information, and I put the website, and it took me right to their website. So people who go on Facebook can click right on the Facebook page, and it'll take them right down to the Alzheimer's Walk site, and they can register or donate and take part. And then I put some pictures from other years, so that I thought that might be a little more enticing than just a page that Alzheimer's put out. So I put last year's picture, 2018's picture, and one of the flowers, which is critical for people who know what's going on. And then Carla mentioned this. I announced that there's going to be a scholarship fundraiser at Killarney House. So I did get permission. They don't care because they love to have their imagery out there, but I did get permission, and I put an image of Killarney House, and I put the menu, so that was posted. That's not going to be until the 14th of October. So I put it put it about a week ago. And then I'm gonna probably every week, I'll just put a little reminder, make sure your calendar is marked, and so that people will be able to remember it and come. It's a takeout. So we've Carla can tell you, and Rick, we've been very successful in these fundraisers for our scholarship fund, these restaurant things. So they've been great. So I would invite you to get on Facebook and just type and search for Anne Arundel County Anne Arundel Retired School Personnel Association, AARSPA, and take a look. And you can like it if you want. That would be very nice. I just thought a really brief overview of how we work. And I think it's still growing. It's very hard to get people coming onto the Facebook. Some people are still very afraid of Facebook. So it's been a struggle, but it's getting there. So thank you for your attention. And if anybody have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
But Deb, there is a question. Do you allow non-members to join Facebook, and also do you allow members to post on the Facebook page?
We don't have anybody post but me. Now that might change down the road, but right now that's what people recommended, and that's how it is right now.
Okay, and Debbie Taylor responded that you have good examples of pictures for Facebook for people that aren't familiar with Facebook, how to present them. So you gave some good examples, and I'm sure that we were able to pick up a few pointers because of the pictures you showed.
Thank you.
I noticed in 2018, 2019, none of those folks had masks on.
I know. And we actually could get together in a big crowd and all walk together, massive crowds through the streets of Annapolis.
All right, then wanted to know, are you the only one that can post for Facebook?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and any other questions for, and let me say this, as I'm sitting here watching these presentations, and your response and so forth. I'm equating us, all of the leaders in the association, in the locals, with as being the cheerleaders for your group. If you don't have a positive outlook as a leader, then your members are not going to have a positive outlook. So yeah, obviously you're doing great things to encourage your members, and we want to continue to do that throughout all of the locals, so that our members will feel that we value them, and they will continue to want to work to help their communities. And you know, cheerleaders, and when I make comments, sometimes I say them and they come out wrong, but I'm going to try it. You know, cheerleaders at a team sport, their team could be behind 94-0, and they still be rooting for their team. You're all team, raw team, raw team. So we're not behind, but we certainly want to make sure we keep a positive attitude when we talk to our members and so forth. Okay, any other questions for Deb?
I have a comment, George.
Yeah.
One of the things that Deb did back when we would have had our September meeting, she posted on our Facebook page a picture of our September meeting from last year, saying that this is what we have to look forward to. This is what we did last year, and this is what we have to look forward to. And when I was doing research for my presentation, that was one of the things that was suggested. Post old things to remind people of what it was like. So I was really glad to see Debbie did that. And then she also mentioned going to boards of education and AARP, et cetera, to try to find comment. If you look on the MRSP website under news and resources, the public relations manual under Facebook lists a whole list of other organizations that you can kind of keep an eye on, like Deb suggested, to be putting links on your Facebook page, and that's in the PR manual. So Deb, keep up the good work. She has just really done such a wonderful job.
Great. And Judy Davis points out that you can have a co-administrator to help with posting, as long as you both communicate about what is appropriate for your audience. So
Thank you. That's a good
yeah,
suggestion.
so a co-administrator might take a little bit of load off of the actual person doing the posting. Okay, any other questions of Deb? Great job, Deb, and we appreciate your hard work.
Thank you so much.
If not, we'll go to Lonna, and she's the with the St. Mary's County. And she already talked a little bit about her drive-through thing, but she's going to give us another thing about Facebook. Lonna, you're on.
Okay, this is, I'm just going to show a presentation. I had the same topic that Miss Ahalt had, but I had a little different twist on it. The first thing you need, this is just a sample of our Facebook page, St. Mary's County Public School Retirees. I put the logo on it, and I just happened to have that picture up because it was the 4th of July. That's when I put that up. This is, well, that's my Facebook page. This is how you create a page. If you've never done it before, and since our Facebook page, I don't know how to do it any other way. I created it off of my page. I'm not sure how Deb is doing it, but you can create a page off of yours. First, there's 2 ways to do it. The plus sign where I put the arrow, you can hit that button and all this whole thing will come down, and you can create a page off of that post, story, page, group. Once you have that, you open it up where you say create a page. You can put the page name in there where it says page name, or you can put it in over on the left. And then of course you can add your pictures and whatever. So that's what ends up when you're done. You'll have, well, this, I've got stuff in it now, but it'll be just a blank page other than your picture and the name. And you can manage your page on the left. And the reason I put the logo in there is because then I can see it at a glance when I'm trying to manage my own page versus the retirees page. You get, the logo shows up real plain. You can also use the view as a visitor, where I put the arrow down, you can see there. When you view it as a visitor, it's going to look different. Right now, it's the manager page, and you see all these squares here of different things you can post They want you to put money in, but I've never done that. Boost your page. If you do it as a visitor, then you'll see what everyone else sees. And then of course you can go back, exit, and go back. So back to creating a post. This is how I would suggest to create a post. I think that's the way Facebook does it. Oh, one thing I did forget to tell you, between a page and a group. A page, anybody can look at it. You don't have to accept anybody to like. I mean, you don't have to accept anybody in to see your page. A group is private. If they want to like your page, then they have to like it, then you have to go back and accept or not accept them. But a page, anybody can like it and see it. And we opted for the page because that way teachers that are currently in the system can see it, which we have several of. We have people who are planning to retire, they can see it. We've even had students come on and look at our page. And you can always unlike them if you think they're doing something or you don't think they're the best person to view your page. You can always block them. So that's no big deal.
Okay.
So to post, create a post, you can use that plus at the top again, or you can do the bottom where it says create post. When you do the plus at the top, there you hit the post button, and then you right there you create your post. It's best to put a picture in first and then write something, because I've actually wrote something first and then the picture I can't get back to it, so I end up making 2 posts, and I don't like that. And then sometimes they'll come up and tell you, do you want to create an event? So just hit the not now button, unless you really want to create an event. I've never done that. And then of course, the picture. That's where you add the picture when you're creating your post. And these are some samples of some posts that I've put in. I tried to take a picture. We collect books at Christmas or December luncheon, I should say, and they donate it to a soup kitchen, local soup kitchen, and they also donate to a local church who gives it out in a, when they take out food baskets, they put books with it. So I take 2 pictures. I take one of the whole thing, and then I try to take one of some individuals so people can actually see the books. And then we also have food drives, and people were just throwing stuff down. To me, I put that on Facebook. To me, looking at that, it means nothing. But when you add that to it and put a picture of some of the samples you collected, that gives you a better picture. We also do a birthday bingo party at a local nursing center in town once a year. This year we did not. They wouldn't let anybody in the nursing home, obviously. But we pay for the cake. We collect prizes for the bingo prizes, and we collect prizes for the birthday presents, which are in these bags on the table. Last year, I think we did change it. We asked people to donate either $1 or $2 at the June meeting, and the lady in charge just went out and bought things, which she liked better because then she could control what the nursing center wanted. Even though we put a list in the newsletter what they needed, sometimes we just get anything. And of course, because it's a nursing center, it's private citizens, so we have to take a picture of the group that helped. They won't let us take a picture of us helping them. So I put the picture in there. We also have in the county Festival of Trees, which is sponsored by Hospice and MedStar Hospital. They have sponsors who pay for the trees, and then other people, community people like us or school classes, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, any nonprofit organization can decorate the tree. We don't keep the tree, but people come to the festival and they bid on the trees, and then they can take it back to their home or company. So we've done that for the last several years, and this happens to be one of the trees a group of people decorated. And then we had a shooting in one of the high schools a couple years ago where one of the students actually did die. So one of our members came up with the idea to give the staff people a candy bar with a saying on it. So she created the saying, and we paid for the candy bars, and they wrapped them and they took them to the school staff before the school was up. On top of that, we came up with the idea, instead of candy bars, just write notes of encouragement to all the school staff throughout the whole school system. So at each meeting, we have note cards on the table, and we have a list of the staff for the school that we're choosing for that day. Sometimes we have 2 schools if they're elementary and they're small schools. And the members who write the notes can either write to a specific teacher if they happen to know them, or they can just write staff and, geez, my machine just quit. Can you see this? I can't see it. What's wrong with this? Can you even hear me?
Yes.
I don't believe this. The whole thing just went crashing on me. I don't know what's next. Anyway, I can come back to it when I figure out how to get the machine back working again. So George, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Lonna. Any questions for Lonna?
No.
Oh,
You did a great
there it
job.
is. I got it back, but now I have to share the screen again. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Can't believe it did that.
Take a look
What
at the
was it?
comments over in the chat section there.
I gotta figure out where I was. Hold on. That's where we were. I'm so sorry. I haven't touched the machine and it just went to sleep on me. Okay, so I took a picture of the people writing the notes. And we also donate money to each school in the county. So each year we do 4 schools. We just give them $250 to the principals, and they can use it with their staff however they need it. It's not really for the kids directly, but if they give the money to the teachers, they can buy school supplies or however the school wants to use it. That's what we do. And we also donate money to a school fund, or shoe fund, I'm sorry. We give money to the student services at the school board office and buy shoes and give it to needy students. And they totally are in charge of this. Once we give them the money, they're in charge. We don't see the kids or anything. But we do that every year. And how do you find the photos on your post? Say you've got your page and you want, what did I post? There's a spot right down there that says photos. And if you hit that button, it pulls up pages and pages of photos, depending on how many you did. These happen to be pages of all of our community service. I just took a picture in time, so there's other pages in other pictures that aren't community service. But this is our Alzheimer's walk that Deb had on her speech. It happens to be in there on this picture. These are examples of trips that people have taken with our retirees. This is Baltimore. That was a really fun trip, by the way. When they had the tall ships in Baltimore, people really enjoyed that one. And this are just some general members photos that I've posted in the past. And it's really good to get their faces on the picture, and then you don't get their behinds or their backsides. It's really nicer to get their faces. And if you take a lot of pictures, they get used to saying, oh, there's Lonna, let's look at her, or whoever your photographer is. This is the thing we did this summer. I know a couple of the presenters said we didn't know what to put up this summer. I created a summer fall theme, Member Finding Happiness. I told the members, all you need to do is send a picture of anything and say where it was, and I'll post it. And they did. Not a lot, but they did. Like this happens to be an Amish farm in St. Mary's County. This lady was so happy to get out after a while and get a pizza, a drive-through pizza, so she took her picture. This happened to be a farm in Indiana where we went on vacation. And this one on the right, one of our members was a faculty at Virginia Western University, and when they retire, they plant trees. So I put that one up, which was really nice. just some tips, further tips. If you take a picture with the camera, then load it to the computer. You can upload the picture from your computer to your Facebook page. You can either use the wires on the camera, the cables, or you can just take the SD card out and plug it in your computer. Either way works. Or you can take a picture with your cell phone and upload the picture from the phone to the Facebook page. When you upload your photo, and if you have more than one Facebook page, make sure you choose your local Facebook page and not your personal page. I've accidentally done that when I've done it from my phone, and I had thought, where is the picture? And then I find it on the wrong page. But just make sure you choose the right page. And these are some links. And another suggestion, on your web page and in your newsletter, it's a really good idea to put a picture, not just say, go to our Facebook page and show the link. It's a nice idea to put a picture of Facebook. There's different pictures you can find on the web, you can download. And then whenever people see that, even on the web page or newsletter, they know, boom, that's a link. I don't have to go type in the link, and they'll see a picture before they'll see the words, guaranteed. And this is our local St. Mary's County email address. And I just put MRSPA because they also have a Facebook page, and that's their link. Last thing, this is my personal email address. If anybody wants to email me, they can. If they want to ask a question later, or if they need help with their Facebook page. And I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Lonna. Let's give her another grab hand.
Thank you.
You'll get rid of that screen. We'll go to the chat section here. Any questions for Lonna? Okay, so we're going to go on. As you can see, the presentations today are kind of consistent, very consistent with the theme for this year that we came up with: communication, seeing our members through communication, commitment, and community. And what you've heard today are ways you can communicate with your members and how you can communicate with your community at the same time. And certainly we don't lack commitment. You all are here, you do what you do in your locals to serve your members and serve your community. So you got the commitment. We all need to work on trying to increase membership, because obviously if we don't increase our membership, then we're going to face other issues further down. But we want to thank our presenters today. It's very important that we all communicate, and I have my phone number is in the directory for anybody. My cell phone, I always answer my cell phone. Once in a while I have to take a message, but I always return messages very promptly. It's important that I know that you have a need, or that you have a question, or that you want to offer a suggestion. Please feel free to call me or email me, and you'll get a quick response. I don't believe in letting messages go unanswered.